Today we're installing the Madjax Ultimate Plus light kit designed for the EZ-GO TXT Freedom. Included with the kit are the headlights, the harness, tail lights, your brake switch, the 48 to 12 volt converter, a USB charging station, your horn, an indicator with a relay harness, and your column cover. Before we begin, I want to remind you to set the cart into tow mode, turn the key switch off, and engage the parking brake. Before we run our new light kit harness, I'm going to go over some of the connections for you. Up at the very front of the harness, you'll notice a 3-pin red and 3-pin white connector with female bullet connectors attached. These go to your headlights. Red goes to the passenger side. Right off of that, you'll notice a purple and black female spade connector. This goes to your horn. Down a little further, you'll notice a male 12-pin connector. This goes to your relay harness. Next, you'll notice a red, black, and blue wire. The blue wire will go to the purple wire on the relay harness. The black and red are not used. Then you'll see a fuse with a 2-pin connector. This goes to your USB port harness and USB. Towards the center of the harness, you'll notice a red, black, and yellow wire. The red and yellow wires go to your brake switch. The black is not used. Next, you'll see a 2-pin connection. This is for your battery hookups. And then finally, you'll see 2 more 3-pin connections, one red, one white. This is for your tail lights. Passenger side has the red connector. You're going to start with the tail light ends first and go from the front of the cart to the back of the cart. We're going to go down the driver's side. We're going to feed it through the front of the frame, middle of the frame, and then up into the battery area. You want to pull it through until the brake cables are even with the brake pedal. Now we're going to take the remaining harness and push it into the front cowl area. Moving to the front of the cart, we're going to install our headlights. As you can see here, we've already taken out our factory headlights. We'll still need to take out a little bit more cowl, so we're going to place our template on the cowl and just simply follow the instructions. You can see here it says passenger side. Also tells us to line it up with the bottom of the cowl and then line it up with the outside of the cart logo. We're going to tape off our template. As you can see, we need to trim off a little bit across the top. We're going to take a marking pen and mark the inside of the template. Once you have your hole cut out marked, we're going to remove the template. Now using our safety glasses, we're going to trim out our headlight. If you need to cut out the whole headlight, just simply drill a pilot hole inside of your line and cut it out with a cutting tool. Make sure you leave the line because you can always come back and cut a little more, but you can't add to it. Now we're going to use a piece of sandpaper and clean up the inside of our cut and test fit our headlight. We're going to need to take some more off here. So we're going to take the headlight off and trim it some more. Now that our headlight fits, we're going to attach the 3-pin connector from the headlight to the harness. You want to match up the red pins. You also want to connect the red and white wire with the male bullet connector to the red and white wire on the harness, as well as the gray wire to the gray wire on the harness. The other 2 are not used. When installing the headlight, you want to put the top clips in first and then snap in the bottom. We're going to repeat this process on the other side. Before we get to our brake switch, we're going to take our front harness and run it into the driver's side channel here and secure it with zip ties. Helps get the harness out of our way. Now we're going to take the harness and push it up into the dash area. Now to install the brake switch, we're going to take out the 2 U-bolts temporarily. When we install the brake switch, you're going to install it with the angled section here pointed towards the front of the cart and the switch pointed to the ground. Now you want the switch to be on the brake lever, not on the parking brake lever here. And you also want the switch to be slightly engaged. So you want to hear the click. That way, when you work the brake, it disengages, which then turns on your brake lights. Once you have it in the right spot, you're going to take the U-bolts and go around the back side of the channel that we put our harness in and secure it with the nuts. Once you have all 4 nuts on and hand tightened, go back and double check, make sure that your switch is engaged and that as soon as you work the brake pedal, you hear the click for it to disengage. Once you have that right, go ahead and tighten up all of your hardware. You'll also go ahead and plug in your brake switch to your harness. You're going to simply go with the male bullet connector to the female bullet connector of the harness. The black spade connector is not used. We'll come back and check this again once we have the harness hooked up to the battery pack. We're going to attach the horn to a flat metal surface using a self-tapping screw. You're also going to locate the black and purple wire from your harness and attach it to the horn. The orientation does not matter. We'll secure our loose wires later. Before we attach our relay harness, I want to go through the connections for you. You'll notice 2 12-pin connectors on each side. The 12-pin connector that's over here by itself will go to the new light kit harness. The 12-pin on the opposite side will go to your indicator. You'll also notice you have a new hazard switch here. You'll also notice there's 2 female bullet connectors and a male bullet connector here. This is for the fog lights or LED light bars on the auxiliary switch for your indicator. And you'll also see a purple wire. This wire will attach to your new light kit harness. One last thing we're going to do is attach our 12-pin harness from our relay to the 12-pin of our main harness. Again, you want to use the longer end. And then we're going to feed the front of the harness and the relay harness into the cowl area. Moving to the tail lights. You'll notice here that we had the factory tail lights already installed. We're still going to show you how to lay out the template. If you did have the factory tail lights installed, you want to go ahead and take these clips off as well. As you can see here on the template, we have the driver's side. You're going to align this edge here with the bagwell trim, and then you're going to put this on the bumper right here. Once it's in place, go ahead and tape it off. Now you're going to mark out the inside of your template, drill you a pilot hole, and then cut it out with a cutting tool. We're going to repeat this process on the other side. Before we connect our tail lights, we're going to finish running our tail light harnesses to the back of the cart. You're going to take the red 3-pin and run it around the back side of your battery pack and over the fender well. You're going to take the white 3-pin and go over the driver's side. Last, you're going to take the white 2-pin that connects to our converter, and we're going to go right over the middle of the battery pack here and under the cables. We'll come back to this later. Now we can attach our taillights to the cart using the supplied screws. Remember, the 3-pin white connector goes on the driver's side and the red pin goes on the passenger. We're going to do the same thing on the passenger side. Before we install the turn signal indicator, I want to go over some of the functions. You'll notice on the outside here, we have our horn button. Up and down on the lever works the turn signals. Here on the very outside, the first switch here turns on your daytime run lights. The second will turn on the daytime run lights plus your front headlights. If you pull the lever back towards you till it clicks, you now have high beams. To turn those off, you just simply click it again. You'll also notice the inside ring here has 2 additional light settings. This feature is for fog lights or small light bars. This will help keep your dash panel clear of extra switches. Now we're going to attach the indicator to our column by taking out 2 of the screws from the strap, folding it around the column, and then reinserting the screws. Before we tighten down our screws, first you want to take your 12 pin and make sure that you have enough slack to go into your dash cavity. Once you're happy, you can then tighten up all the screws, but make sure you tighten them evenly. Once all 4 screws are tightened, you can install your indicator cover. Next, you're going to take your column cover and put the harness for the indicator in the back channel and snap it over your column. Next, we're going to take out our key switch panel and then our cup holders and retain all the hardware. I'm going to disconnect the key switch for video purposes only. Now we're going to cut a small hole with a cutting tool big enough to fit the 12-pin connector so that it can feed into the dash access. One thing you want to remember here is your cup holder has to go back in, so make sure your hole is cut just past the cup holders. Be sure to wear your safety glasses. We can now reach in and grab the front of our harness and pull it into the dash area. And go ahead and plug the 12-pin connector in to the 12-pin connector of the indicator harness. You can also take the purple wire and attach it to the blue wire that comes off of your USB plug-in. Your red and black wires here will not be used. You'll also see your fog plug-ins. You have a first and a second position. That's where your 2 hot wires will go. The negative fog is where both of your negative connections will go. The hazard switch, if you look on the back side, you'll see black, blue, yellow. The black is located right behind the LED. We're going to take these off temporarily. You're going to unscrew the nut from the back side of the switch. Then using a 15-30 seconds drill bit, find a good location for your hazard switch. We're going to install our switch a little deeper into the glove box. Your dash may be a little different. You may want to put it in a different spot. Just be careful that there's no wires back behind the area that you're going to be drilling into. Be sure to wear safety glasses. Once your switch is in place, secure it with the nut and then reattach your black, yellow, and blue wires. Black on the bottom behind the LED, blue in the center, and yellow on the top. Now we can install our USB. First thing I want you to look at is on the back side. You'll notice a positive sign for the plus side red wire and a negative sign for the negative side black wire. We have 2 options to install the USB. First, we can use a 1 1/8 inch paddle bit, or you can take the nut off the back side of the USB and use it as a template, which we will do here. We're going to install it right here below the dash, but it is completely up to you on where you would like to install your USB. Just make sure there's no wires behind the location. We're going to use a marking pen to trace out the inside of our nut. Then, using our safety glasses and a cutting tool, we're going to cut out the hole for our charger. Be sure to cut to the inside of your line, as you can always take more plastic out, but you can't add to it. Test fit the USB as you go. Be sure to slide the nut over the wires behind the dash, then pull the wires through your hole and attach the red wire to the positive side and the black wire to the negative. Push the USB into the hole and secure it with the nut. Now we're going to reinstall our dash. Make sure to reattach any key switch wires. We're ready to attach our converter. We're going to find a flat metal surface to secure this at. We're going to use the frame located back here behind the controller, and with a self-tapping screw, hold it in place. Before we connect our converter, we're going to hook up our small battery terminal harness to our battery pack main positive and negative terminals. You can use a multimeter to help you find these 2. On our cart, they're located on the passenger side nearest the controller. You're going to attach the 2-pin red and black to the 2-pin red and black on your converter. You'll notice a small arc when you plug these two in. It's perfectly fine. And then finally, we're going to attach the harness itself to the black and yellow of the converter. Now that our harness is powered, we can use the supplied zip ties and secure it to the cart. We're going to go back and recheck our brake switch. What you're looking for here is as soon as you press the pedal, the brake lights glow. You also want to hear the switch click. If this isn't happening for you, you may have to go back and adjust your U-bolts on your brake switch. If everything's good, you finished installing your Madjax Ultimate Plus Light Kit designed for the EZ-GO T48.